Inside Cook County Jail, America's broken jail. In the heart of Chicago sits one of the largest jail complexes in the United States. Cook County Jail. At any given time, thousands of people are locked behind its walls, many awaiting trial, many who have not been convicted of any crime. For decades, this jail has been the subject of lawsuits, federal investigations, and public controversy. Reports have documented violence inside the facility, overcrowded housing units, serious mental health crises, and deaths in custody. Civil rights groups have called it one of the most troubled jail systems in America. Former detainees describe a place where delays in the justice system can keep people locked up for months, sometimes years, before their cases are resolved. Correctional officers face dangerous working conditions. Medical staff struggle to manage one of the largest populations of mentally ill detainees in any jail in the country. And administrators say the jail has been trying for years to reform a system that critics argue has been broken for decades. This is not a prison. Cook County Jail primarily holds people who are legally presumed innocent. Yet the conditions inside have repeatedly raised serious questions about how America treats those awaiting trial. Tonight, we're going inside Cook County Jail to examine how it became one of the most controversial jail systems in the United States. What daily life looks like behind its walls. And why many experts say the problems inside reflect deeper failures in the American criminal justice system. Before we begin, if you appreciate deeply researched crime and prison documentaries like this one, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the Inmate Diaries. Your support helps us continue producing factual, long-form documentaries that explore the hidden realities inside the world's most controversial prisons and jails. Now, let's step inside one of the most complex detention systems in America. The massive jail in the middle of Chicago. A city within walls. Cook County Jail is not a single building. It is an entire complex. Located on Chicago's west side, the jail spans more than 90 acres and includes multiple detention divisions, administrative buildings, medical facilities, and courtrooms. The complex operates under the authority of the Cook County Sheriff's Office, one of the largest sheriff's departments in the United States. At its peak population in the early 2010s, the jail held more than 10,000 detainees at a time. That made it one of the largest single-site jails in the United States. Unlike prisons, which house people who have already been convicted and sentenced, jails serve a different purpose. They primarily detain individuals awaiting trial. Others are serving shorter sentences, typically less than 1 year. And some are held after arrest because they cannot afford bail. That means many people inside Cook County Jail are legally presumed innocent under the U.S. justice system. Yet the conditions they face can sometimes resemble those of high-security prisons. A system built over a century. Cook County Jail has existed in some form since the 19th century. Chicago's rapid population growth during the late 1800s led to repeated expansions of detention facilities across Cook County. Over time, the jail evolved into a massive network of divisions. Some buildings were constructed decades apart. As a result, parts of the complex reflect very different eras of jail design. Some sections date back to the 1960s and 1970s. Others were added later in attempts to modernize the facility. But critics say the aging infrastructure has created serious challenges. Older buildings were not designed to manage the complex needs of modern jail populations, particularly when it comes to mental health care, medical treatment, and overcrowding. And those challenges would eventually draw national attention. One of the largest jails in America. The scale of detention. Every year, tens of thousands of people pass through the Cook County Jail system. Arrestees from Chicago and surrounding suburbs are transported here after booking. Once inside, they enter a complex intake process. Fingerprints are taken. Background checks are performed. And detainees wait for bond hearings or court appearances. For some, that process moves quickly. For others, the wait can become much longer. Cook County's court system is one of the busiest in the United States. Backlogs in the courts can keep detainees inside the jail for extended periods while their cases move through the legal system. According to county data, the average length of stay has increased significantly over the past 2 decades. Experts say this trend reflects broader problems in the justice system, including slow court processing and the use of pretrial detention. A large mental health population. One of the most significant challenges inside Cook County Jail involves mental health. By the mid-2010s, officials acknowledged that the jail had become one of the largest mental health treatment providers in the state of Illinois. Thousands of detainees entering the facility suffer from mental illness. Some have previously received treatment in hospitals. Others have never received formal diagnosis before their arrest. Because many psychiatric hospitals closed or reduced capacity across the United States over several decades, jails have increasingly become the place where mentally ill individuals end up receiving care. Cook County Jail has created specialized housing units designed to provide treatment. But critics argue that a jail is not an appropriate environment for many people experiencing severe mental illness. And managing such a large population of mentally ill detainees has created major operational challenges for staff. A place under constant scrutiny. Over the years, Cook County Jail has faced repeated scrutiny from journalists, watchdog organizations, and the federal government. Civil rights groups have filed lawsuits alleging unconstitutional conditions. Investigations have examined violence inside housing units. Other reports have focused on medical care, suicide prevention, and detainee deaths. Some reforms have been implemented. New training programs. Mental health initiatives. Infrastructure improvements. But critics argue that deeper systemic problems remain. And the debate over how to fix Cook County Jail continues today. Entering the system. The arrest to intake pipeline. For most detainees, the journey into Cook County Jail begins shortly after an arrest somewhere in the Chicago metropolitan area. Chicago police officers, suburban departments, and county agencies all use the facility as the central holding location for individuals awaiting court processing. After arrest, detainees are typically transported to the jail's intake area. This is where the formal booking process begins. Identification is verified. Personal property is confiscated and logged. Biometric data, including fingerprints and photographs, are recorded. Medical staff conduct an initial health screening designed to identify urgent medical needs. Mental health evaluations may also occur during intake. Officials say these screenings are critical because many detainees arrive with untreated medical conditions, injuries from arrests, or symptoms of mental illness. However, watchdog organizations have repeatedly warned that the intake system can become overwhelmed during periods of high arrest volume. When that happens, detainees may remain in holding areas for extended periods before being assigned to housing units. Waiting for court. After booking, detainees typically wait for their first court appearance. This hearing is known as a bond hearing. During the hearing, a judge decides whether the person will remain in custody while their case proceeds or be released before trial. Historically, many detainees remained in Cook County Jail because they could not afford to post bail. Legal scholars and reform advocates have argued that this system disproportionately affected low-income individuals. Two people charged with the same offense could face very different outcomes depending on whether they had the money to secure release. In recent years, Illinois enacted major changes to its pretrial system aimed at reducing reliance on cash bail. But before those reforms, thousands of people remained inside Cook County Jail while awaiting trial simply because they could not pay the required bond amount. For some, the wait inside the jail lasted weeks. For others, it lasted much longer. The first night inside. The first night inside Cook County Jail can be disorienting. Detainees often spend hours, sometimes longer, inside temporary holding cells while waiting for classification and housing assignments. Correctional officers must determine where each detainee will be placed. That decision depends on several factors. Criminal charges. Prior criminal history. Gang affiliation. Medical needs. Mental health status. Security risk assessments. The goal is to separate individuals who might pose threats to others while also ensuring appropriate supervision levels. But the process is complicated. Thousands of detainees move through the facility at any given time. And classification errors can sometimes place individuals in housing units where tensions already exist. Daily life behind the walls. Housing units. Once classified, detainees are assigned to one of the jail's housing divisions. Cook County Jail contains multiple detention buildings, each designed for different security levels and detainee populations. Some units house individuals charged with nonviolent offenses. Others hold detainees accused of serious violent crimes. The architecture of these housing units varies. In older sections of the jail, detainees are housed in traditional cell blocks, where rows of cells line multi-level tiers overlooking a central common area. Newer units use direct supervision designs, where officers remain inside the housing area with detainees rather than observing from enclosed control booths. Correctional experts say direct supervision models can sometimes reduce violence by allowing officers to intervene quickly in conflicts. But maintaining order inside large jail housing units remains a constant challenge. A structured routine. Daily life inside Cook County Jail follows a structured routine. The day typically begins early in the morning with a count procedure, where officers verify the presence of every detainee assigned to the unit. Counts occur multiple times throughout the day. These procedures ensure that detainees remain accounted for and that no one has moved into unauthorized areas. Meals are delivered on a schedule. Detainees may have limited opportunities for recreation, showers, phone calls, or visits. Some detainees attend court hearings through transportation to the courthouse. Others participate in educational or counseling programs offered inside the jail. But the reality of jail life often involves long periods of waiting. Waiting for meals. Waiting for court dates. Waiting for release. Food and basic needs. Providing meals for thousands of detainees every day requires a large-scale kitchen operation. Cook County Jail prepares and distributes thousands of meals daily. Menus are designed to meet minimum nutritional standards established for correctional facilities. Special dietary accommodations may be provided for medical or religious reasons. But complaints about food quality are common in many detention facilities, including Cook County Jail. Former detainees interviewed by journalists have described meals as basic and repetitive. Officials maintain that the facility complies with required dietary standards. Food service operations are regularly inspected as part of correctional oversight procedures. The officers inside. Correctional officers. Behind every housing unit is a team of correctional officers responsible for maintaining security. The Cook County Sheriff's Office employs thousands of staff members who work inside the jail system. Their responsibilities include supervising detainees, preventing violence, conducting searches, responding to emergencies, escorting detainees to court, monitoring housing units. Working inside a large jail environment presents significant challenges. Officers must manage large numbers of detainees while maintaining strict safety procedures. Conflicts can arise suddenly. And staff must respond quickly to prevent escalation. Correctional officers themselves sometimes report dangerous working conditions inside large jail systems. Union representatives have raised concerns about staffing levels, training, and safety. Stressful work environment. Correctional experts often describe jail work as one of the most stressful roles in law enforcement. Unlike prisons, where inmates have already been sentenced and classified, jail populations constantly change. New detainees arrive every day. Many are experiencing the shock of recent arrest. Others face serious charges or personal crises. Tensions can run high. Officers must remain alert for potential fights, medical emergencies, or mental health incidents. Studies have shown that correctional officers in large jail systems experience high rates of workplace stress. Some departments have introduced training programs designed to help staff manage the psychological demands of the job. Trouble inside the jail. Violence and safety concerns. Like many large detention facilities, Cook County Jail has faced ongoing concerns about violence. Incidents inside jails can range from minor altercations to serious assaults. Correctional officers must respond quickly to separate individuals and restore order. In some cases, detainees have suffered serious injuries during fights. Reports of violence inside the facility have drawn attention from journalists and civil rights organizations. Officials say that many incidents stem from conflicts between detainees who come from rival neighborhoods or gang affiliations. Managing those tensions requires careful housing decisions and constant supervision. But preventing every conflict inside such a large facility is extremely difficult. The gang factor. Chicago has a long and complex history with gang activity. Those rivalries do not always disappear after arrest. Inside Cook County Jail, officials must carefully track gang affiliations among detainees. Classification officers attempt to separate rival groups into different housing units whenever possible. But maintaining perfect separation is challenging. The jail receives detainees from across the Chicago metropolitan area. Gang dynamics can shift rapidly. And sometimes detainees attempt to conceal their affiliations. Correctional staff rely on intelligence reports, interviews, and prior records to assess potential risks. Even with those precautions, conflicts can still occur. If this documentary gave you a deeper look into what really happens inside Cook County Jail, make sure to support the channel. Like this video, subscribe to the Inmate Diaries, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next investigation into the world's most controversial prisons and criminal cases. If you have thoughts about the issues we covered today, share them in the comments below. And if there's a prison, case, or system you want us to investigate next, let us know. Thanks for watching the Inmate Diaries, where we uncover the real stories behind the walls. See you in the next documentary.